You were taught that you are an individual, a free thinker, someone who chose his values, beliefs, ambitions, and identity. But if you stop for a moment, you realize something unsettling. None of it originated from you. The dreams you pursue were suggested. The values you defend were programmed. The image you protect was handed to you as a script, and you never questioned who wrote it. You inherited a definition of manhood before you even understood what the word meant. You didn't choose your identity, you accepted it because there was no alternative presented. And now, every decision you make is filtered through that invisible identity, as if deviating from it would lead to annihilation. You've been living with the quiet suspicion that something about your existence feels artificial, that you were built for something, but not by yourself. You mistake comfort for purpose, but comfort is not purpose, it is sedation. The unease you feel is not failure. It is the first sign that your identity was never real. It was assigned, and you have been serving it ever since. Identity is the most effective form of control because it doesn't feel like control. It feels like pride. You don't need chains when a man willingly protects what limits him. The world doesn't force behavior. It shapes identity and lets men police themselves. You defend beliefs you never questioned. You obey rules you never agreed to. You carry burdens that were placed on you long before you had the strength to refuse them. You think you're acting out of personal conviction, but most of your actions are responses to a story you were convinced was yours. A story that tells you what winning looks like, what failure means, what a man must do to deserve respect. You call it responsibility, but it feels like obligation. You call it reputation, but it feels like a debt. You call it identity, but it feels like captivity. The question you've avoided is simple. Who benefits from the man who never questions his role? Who gains from your loyalty? Because it isn't you. You were convinced the ego protects you, that your sense of identity keeps you strong. But the ego doesn't guard you, it traps you. It demands constant defense. It forces you to react, justify, explain, impress, prove. Every moment you try to maintain who you are drains energy that could have been spent becoming something else. Your ego isn't a shield, it's a leash. Every time you respond to criticism, comparison, or disrespect, you confirm the ego's authority over you. You think defending your image asserts power, but it exposes weakness. Only fragile identities require protection. A man who knows himself doesn't react. He chooses, he moves, he observes. The ego wants attention, and attention makes you predictable. Predictable men are easy to control. The more you cling to what you think defines you, the smaller you become. You have confused attachment with identity, and identity with existence. The cost of ego is invisible until you realize what you traded away, your freedom to evolve. The moment you stop defending who you were, you finally become someone who cannot be controlled. You entered this world without a name, without a role, without meaning. Yet before you could speak, people were already assigning you labels. Good boy, troublemaker, smart, lazy, potential, disappointment. These labels weren't observations, they were instructions. Every label you accepted narrowed your identity, shaping what you believed possible. You were trained to interpret your worth through the eyes of others. The system never needed to restrain you physically. It restrained the boundaries of who you believed you could become. Every label you accepted became a thread woven into your identity. You were conditioned to feel shame when deviating and pride when conforming. You thought you were living authentically, yet every part of you was reactive, responding to labels others created. You never questioned why you wanted what you wanted, or why certain goals felt mandatory. You assumed desire was personal, yet it was cultural programming disguised as ambition. The life you think you chose is not a choice. It is a preloaded path, and you've been mistaking inheritance for destiny. From the moment you could understand consequence, the world taught you how to behave through a simple equation. Conform, and you are rewarded. Deviate, and you are punished. Approval became fuel. Disapproval became fear. You learned to chase praise, avoid criticism, and associate acceptance with safety. You weren't taught to think, you were conditioned to perform. You adapted to reality, not to perception. Every smile you earned reinforced compliance. Every rejection carved obedience into your core. You began to measure your worth through responses, how people reacted, what they approved, what they condemned. This wasn't guidance, it was indoctrination. They didn't give you values, they gave you triggers. You don't pursue goals because they matter. You pursue them because not doing so feels like failure. You're not afraid of losing, you're afraid of being seen losing. The world never asked who you are, it told you who to be. And you believed it because punishment makes the truth feel dangerous and reward makes the lie feel real. The most efficient prison doesn't need guards. It convinces prisoners to watch themselves. That is what the ego does. It monitors every move, every thought, every desire. You hesitate not because anyone stops you, but because you fear what breaking character will do to your image. The ego turns your identity into a behavioral checkpoint. You don't explore, you don't risk, you don't act. You evaluate how your actions will be seen, judged, or interpreted. You are never alone, not because someone is watching, but because your identity is. The ego makes you live under imaginary scrutiny. You call it awareness, maturity, responsibility, but it's just surveillance. The world doesn't need to restrict you anymore. Your pride has absorbed the task. You have become a warden of your own limitations. That is why so many men feel stuck, not because they lack options, but because they lack permission. The ego will not allow you to step outside the identity it protects. It convinces you that freedom is risky, when the real risk is realizing how long you've lived without it.
There comes a moment when the life you've been living stops making sense. It doesn't happen loudly. It doesn't arrive with warning. It slips in quietly, disguised as dissatisfaction, boredom, or fatigue. You begin to notice cracks in the story you've been defending. What once felt certain now feels rehearsed. The identity you carried no longer fits. You sense it tightening, resisting, suffocating. The world you built around it begins to feel like a lie you can no longer maintain. This fracture is not a failure. It is an interruption, a disruption of the narrative you inherited. Something inside you refuses to comply anymore. A deeper intelligence senses the deception. You aren't breaking down, you're breaking free. The discomfort is proof that your identity is losing its grip. You're not losing control, you're losing illusion. And the moment you recognize that, everything changes. The trap doesn't disappear, but its walls become visible. You start to realize the truth. You weren't living your life. You were maintaining your identity. And now, it no longer owns you. Once awareness sets in, something begins to die. Not your body, not your spirit. The character you've been performing, the identity you protected for years, begins to collapse under its own weight. You feel it slipping, dissolving, losing relevance. You mourn it, even as you resent it. It once gave you direction, yet now it feels like a costume you outgrew. Letting go feels dangerous because identity was your anchor. Without it, you feel untethered, undefined, and exposed. But what you mistake for loss is liberation. The identity you defended was never yours. It was a wall built around you, not a foundation beneath you. Its death is not the end of you. It is the end of your imprisonment. The collapse feels chaotic because it is the first time you're facing yourself without a script. And beneath the debris of who you thought you were, something unfamiliar waits. A man who isn't defined, only choosing. After the identity dies, there is silence. No expectations, no roles, no performance. The world loses its grip because there is nothing left to manipulate. You stand without a mask, and for the first time, you realize how loud your old identity was, constantly explaining, defending, proving. Now there is only quiet. Most men panic in this silence. They rush to construct a new identity, desperate to feel like someone again. But power doesn't come from replacing one mask with another. It emerges from not needing a mask at all. In this silence, there is no ego demanding approval, no narrative to maintain, no audience to impress. You're not failing, you're resetting. This is the space where the self begins, not the man you were trained to be, but the one who observes, chooses, and acts without the weight of expectation. The silence is not emptiness, it is the beginning of autonomy. Your identity didn't form in isolation. It was engineered by systems that existed before you were born. Governments, industries, ideologies, all of them require predictable men to survive. A man who questions his identity becomes uncontrollable. A man who obeys it becomes useful. The world doesn't care who you are. It only cares what you can be turned into. You were never asked what you wanted. You were given options that all lead to compliance. Every belief you defend strengthens a structure that benefits from your obedience. Your self-image is not personal, it's political. You think you're choosing values, but you're selecting from a catalog designed to limit the range of who you can become. The moment you notice the pattern, the illusion weakens. You stop admiring the world you were told to respect. You start examining it, and men who examine power eventually detach from it. Awareness doesn't destroy the system. It destroys your willingness to belong to it. The most dangerous form of control doesn't attack your mind. It hijacks your emotions. You were trained to believe that expressing feelings makes you genuine, worthy, relatable. But emotional men are predictable. They react. They reveal. They can be redirected with praise, guilt, shame, or silence. The world doesn't need to overpower you. It only needs to trigger you. Once you defend your emotions, you defend the identity attached to them. Every time someone provokes you, they learn where your vulnerabilities live. Your anger exposes insecurity. Your pride exposes fear. Your reactions reveal what you value, what you fear losing, and what you depend on for validation. You weren't encouraged to feel for authenticity. You were conditioned to feel so you could be controlled. Emotional expression was never freedom. It was data collection. The man who cannot be manipulated is not the one who feels nothing, but the one who reveals nothing. Power begins where reaction ends. Your identity didn't grow from self-awareness. It grew from reflection, how others responded to you, labeled you, interpreted you. You became an echo of perception, not a product of choice. People don't see you. They see what benefits them, a role, a function, a character. Their expectations become your boundaries. You adjust, compromise, perform, all to maintain an image that was never yours. The social mirror is a trap disguised as connection. You mistake recognition for understanding, approval for belonging, visibility for value. But the moment you stop chasing validation, something fractures. You begin to notice the gaze of others, not as truth, but as leverage. You stop asking how to be seen and start questioning why you should care. The world loses influence when you no longer participate in its reflection. When the mirror breaks, the identity goes with it, and the man who stands behind the shattered glass is someone the world cannot predict, measure, or own.
You believe you make decisions, but most of your actions are reflexes triggered by identity. Someone questions you, and you defend. Someone ignores you, and you chase. Someone challenges you, and you react. You don't evaluate the situation. You obey the ego. It decides what matters, what insults you, what deserves a response. You call this instinct, but it is programming. Your reactions reveal your attachment. The world doesn't need to overpower you, it only needs to provoke you. The moment you react, you surrender control. You expose your values, insecurities, weaknesses, and desires. A predictable man is not dangerous. He is manageable. The ego convinces you that reacting is strength, but reaction is submission disguised as dominance. You are not acting, you are being activated. Every time you respond without consciousness, you reinforce the identity that limits you. Power isn't in the reaction. It's in the silence that precedes it. Your identity demands performance. You spend more time acting like a man than being one. You showcase strength instead of developing it. You pretend to care less while drowning inside. You play confidence because admitting uncertainty feels like death. You perform success, affection, ambition, toughness, not for yourself, but for the audience you imagine is watching. The world never asked for your authenticity. It rewarded your performance and punished your truth. So you turned life into theater. You maintain an image the way a prisoner maintains a cell, decorated, familiar, suffocated. The cost of performance is exhaustion. You can't rest because identity doesn't sleep. It constantly seeks validation. You keep chasing impressions because the performance has replaced purpose. And the tragedy is simple. No matter how convincingly you play the role, the applause never fills the void. The performance doesn't protect you. It drains you. It turns existence into maintenance. You were told success would save you. That once you achieved enough, money, respect, status, women, recognition, you would finally feel complete. Yet success didn't free you, it deepened the trap. You gained more eyes watching you, more expectations weighing on you, more identity to protect. You didn't escape the performance, you upgraded it. Success becomes a stronger cage than failure because it gives you something to lose. Now, you don't chase goals because you want them. You chase them because stopping would expose the emptiness beneath the achievements. You thought success would remove insecurity. Instead, it hides it behind accomplishments. You don't own success. Success owns you. It dictates behavior, restricts honesty, and makes you fear authenticity. You become a prisoner with better furniture. The applause feels good, but it reinforces dependence. You hoped to outgrow the identity. Instead, you became its brand ambassador. Detachment isn't coldness, it is clarity. When you detach, you stop negotiating with identity. You no longer need to defend, justify, or explain yourself. You act without needing permission. The ego loses its leverage when you no longer worship perception. You start to see reactions not as insults or threats, but as bait designed to capture your attention. Without attachment, the trap collapses. Nothing sticks, nothing wounds, nothing owns you. Detachment frees energy once wasted on proving, performing, and maintaining an image. The world cannot manipulate a man who doesn't fear being misunderstood. He moves without broadcasting his intention. He responds without revealing his position. He becomes difficult to read, impossible to predict, untouchable by emotional provocation. Detachment isn't withdrawal, it is strategic independence. It allows you to choose your actions instead of reacting to narratives. In detachment, identity becomes optional. And when something becomes optional, it stops being a prison. Identity becomes dangerous only when you live inside it. Once you recognize it as a tool, everything changes. Identity can be worn like clothing, useful when needed, discarded when it restricts movement. You stop clinging to labels as if they define your existence. You choose identities based on utility, not attachment. You become adaptable, not because you lack values, but because you refuse to be owned by them. A man who treats identity as a tool can operate in any environment without compromising himself. He can be who he needs to be briefly while remaining untouched internally. This is what makes a person dangerous. He cannot be categorized, predicted, or manipulated. He plays roles without believing they are real. His sense of self is not external. It is silent, private, unshakable. Tools serve him, nothing owns him. Once identity stops being a home, power becomes effortless. You no longer live to protect a persona. You live to choose your direction. The silent man is not quiet because he lacks words. He is silent because he refuses to waste them. He has nothing to prove and therefore nothing to defend. His stillness is not passivity, it is control. He reacts to nothing, reveals nothing, and exposes nothing. People project onto him, but he remains unmoved. He is unreadable because he is not performing. He does not chase respect, yet he receives it. He is not intimidated by effort, only by presence. The silent man is free from the ego's noise. He doesn't need recognition or agreement. His identity is internal, not displayed. This makes him dangerous. He cannot be blackmailed with validation. He cannot be humiliated by perception. He cannot be provoked into reaction. The world fears what it cannot predict. The silent man understands this. He does not fight the system. He becomes irrelevant to it. His power comes from absence of need, of noise, of ego. A man who cannot be moved cannot be controlled.
Without ego, life stops feeling like a battlefield. You no longer waste energy defending an image or proving existence. Choices become clearer because they are not weighed against perception. You begin to desire differently. You do not chase goals to be seen achieving them. You choose goals because they align with your internal direction. You are no longer living as a reaction to judgment. You are acting from origin, not performance. The world feels quieter, not because it has changed, but because you stopped mistaking noise for meaning. You notice opportunities you once ignored because ego filtered everything through fear and comparison. Now there is no one to impress, no audience to satisfy, no story to maintain. You create meaning the same way you breathe, without effort, without permission, without needing applause. In this state, life doesn't overwhelm you, it answers you. When ego dissolves, existence shifts from survival to authorship. You stop defending who you are and begin directing who you become. The man without ego cannot be bought, coerced, or shaped. He moves through the world without offering handles for others to grip. There is nothing to threaten because he has nothing to defend. He chooses his alliances but does not need them. He engages but he does not cling. He listens but he does not absorb narratives that are not his. He remains centered while others unravel in reaction. People sense this. They don't know why he feels different, but they recognize something unsettling. He doesn't respond to the invisible rules they follow. He cannot be embarrassed because there is no identity to attack. He cannot be guilted because there is no false role to manipulate. He cannot be flattered because praise no longer intoxicates him.
He is not superior, he is simply unowned. The world loses its leverage when a man stops needing labels to exist. He becomes something rare, an individual who can walk away from anything, including the version of himself others depend on. Identity was never who you were. It was an assignment you accepted because you feared the consequences of refusing it. You defended a mask until it felt like skin. But illusions don't die when challenged, they die when ignored. The moment you stop feeding identity, it collapses. The trap depended on your belief in it. Without belief, there is no cage. Without ego, there is no leverage. The story dissolves, and the self emerges. This is the moment most men never reach, not because it is complex, but because it requires stillness. They would rather defend the fiction than confront the emptiness behind it. But now you see the truth. There was never anything missing in you. There was only something blocking you. Identity wasn't your foundation, it was your distraction. And now that the distraction has ended, something far more dangerous begins. The man you were was controlled. The man you are becoming cannot be controlled.